Michael, welcome to the Wroxhill 10 to 1. How are you?
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me. How are things with you?
Very good, thank you. So I know that you've got an overarching role within Mulberry Media. The main focus ideally for us today is Accountancy Today, but how have things been for Accountancy Today over the last few months in lockdown?
In line with pretty much every other publisher in the land, I would imagine, there was that sort of initial panic that the lockdown kind of made everyone extremely nervous about how many staff they needed, whether or not an initial lull in advertising was gonna bounce back. So there was a bit of kind of frantic strategizing going on about how to react at our end. But within a couple of weeks, things stabilized. We've retained all of our team, and the editorial staff are working away exactly as they were, but obviously from home like everyone else. We were quite lucky to have all of our systems, the sales system, the phone software, all of that stuff was on the computers that they were able to take home in boxes. So we actually didn't miss a beat in terms of access to company resources and that kind of thing. So it's been a smooth transition once we got over the initial shock of the culture change. But everyone's working well, and the team is happy and motivated, and the output is the same as it was. So yeah, a positive picture.
Lovely. So in terms of Accountancy Today, could you just remind our audience of its target audience?
So Accountancy Today is it's a news focused as opposed to feature heavy online publication, which is aimed at basically anyone working in practice or in-house. And we feel that there was a little gap in the market there where some of the bigger brands had, to a certain extent, stepped away from the continuous news flow of just updating news stories all day, every day. And we felt that actually there's always been a place for that in the B2B space. So we launched the website 2.5 years ago, I think it is, to see if we could sort of adequately fill that space, and it's been quite popular since then. We've got quite a few paying subscribers, and we're just sort of patiently growing organically. And so the audience that we're attracting has sort of lived up to what we were hoping for in terms of the email collection that we're doing on the site. So our stories are obviously getting the right algorithm tweaks on Google News, because as we watch those emails come in and try to look at the kind of caliber of people signing up for the newsletters, it's exactly who we were after. So lots of people from, everyone from the big four or the top 100 to people who are getting in touch, interested to sign up from small boutique firms in regional towns and cities. So it's a very sort of wide gamut, and we see it really as a sort of a trade rag in the older sense of B2B publishing. So yeah, there's a summary.
Perfect, thank you. In terms of contact, you mentioned obviously the team are all working. What's the best way for the PR industry to make contact with the team?
So it's a small team. There's 4 people working on Accountancy Today, and they are all on a group email address, newsdesk@accountancytoday.co.uk. And that every email that goes to that email address goes to all 4 of the main team of writers. The company number is still working, which is the Mulberry Media one. I can repeat it now: 0203 350 1300. And that's all filtering out to people's computers on their dining room tables. So all the usual channels are up and running, and it's very easy to get hold of our team.
And you mentioned obviously earlier that the focus is very much on news stories. Where are the team mainly, going to get that information from?
So there's sort of 2 tiers of news gathering that they do. So we obviously follow the major national press very closely, who have decent business pages. So obviously the FT, the Telegraph, the Times business pages, you often pick up some interesting stories there. But also there's a huge amount of stuff that, unlike in other smaller sectors that I have experience of, a lot, probably 75% of the press releases that come through to us are of reasonable newsworthiness anyway. So rather than promoting, unless it's a supplier promoting their own software, in which case we would say you need to call the ad sales team. But if it's accountancy firms or industry figures from trade bodies and that kind of thing, then those types of press releases tend to get our attention too. So so two tiers, and then finally, although being a small team, there's a bit less of this, but we still do our best. We obviously have our little black book of contacts, and we're trying to tap people up for gossip from the trade and the profession, so on. So yeah, two main tiers, and then a smaller little tier of primary reporting.
And you obviously mentioned the black book there. I mean, from the PR industry, are you looking to get them to contact you with more people to either interview or be able to turn to for commentary, etc.?
Absolutely, yeah. So we are, there's the features and analysis section on the website. We took this decision early on because it reflects the structure that we have on all the other sites at Mulberry Media. We concentrate all of our internal efforts really on news production. And if there are some gaps in the timetable, then those reporters will start to do some of their own feature writing. But in terms of analysis, authoritative industry commentary and that kind of writing, that we're very interested in external contributions. And we tend to publish something at least once a day, once every 2 days, from a third party writer. So in other words, yeah, very, very open indeed to PRs sending across their pitches and their ideas for content.
Now, during this time, like we are today, there's been use of technology to make contact. I mean, are you and the team finding it easy across the board to get hold of these people to talk to?
The honest answer is yes. I mean, there's virtually no difference to our ability to work doing it from our dining room tables versus the office. I think that's a function of the fact that possibly a main function of the fact that we're a small team, and we're running a website. So anywhere you're with an internet connection and you can have email contact with your contacts in the industry, then the job of actually publishing is quite easy. So and then I haven't found any issues reaching the people that we want to speak to on a daily or weekly basis to get our quotes and that kind of thing. I think probably unlike stuff like retail, where if you know somebody in the shop that you wanted to speak to and so on, then they're not necessarily going to have been able to transplant from the shop floor to their dining room table. But virtually everyone, very few people in accountancy are not working in offices in the first place. So I think probably they found it easier than some other sectors to transplant, and therefore they're quite easy to contact. Yeah.
Thank you. We've got about a minute or so to go. So just sort of, finishing off now, are there anything that you're doing new or got plans to do something new in the near future?
Yes. So we watched quite carefully to see whether or not the concept of doing Zoom calls that are recorded and branded up was going to sort of pass for decent content. We saw some, other publishers doing it and decided that, yes, we think it is possible to do a good job of it. So we've started lining up some contacts for that. And that is something we'll be looking for people to participate in. So yeah, Zoom interviews, they're the next thing. Good.
So the takeout from that is to make contact with your team and put their clients forward.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, Michael. Well, I think we've come to the end of our 10 minutes or nearly. So I'd like to thank you for your time today and wish you well.
Thank you very much for having me on.